Alright folks, welcome to the first edition of your NASCAR News video blog. We are here at the Ben & Jerry's in Gastonia, North Carolina. So kind of with your daily scoop, I figured we'd do a little race review of this weekend's Coca 600. Look at some of the biggest stories coming out of that race, and look ahead to this weekend's race over in Dover. The Coca 600, the longest race of the year. Great racing day for motorsports. You got the Grand Prix of Monaco with the Formula One. The Indy 500 was one of the best Indy 500s that I've ever seen, and then the 600 miles in Charlotte, endurance race for NASCAR. It was the quickest in the race's history, and Kasey Kahne was able to continue his turnaround in the 2012 season and score his first victory for Hendrick Motorsports. Kahne's season probably got off to the worst start you could imagine. In the first 6 races, he had 6 finishes of 14th or worse, and 4 of those were actually 29th or worse. 2 DNFs, mired deep in the points. Pretty much anything that he touched just went wrong. The cars were fast. It was just a string of bad luck, engine failures, wrong place, wrong time. Over the last 6 weeks, however, Kahne and crew chief Kenny Francis have been able to turn it around. They have recorded, leading up to this race, 5 straight top 10 finishes. That would be 6 if you included the All-Star race. Coming into the race, Kahne was pretty confident. Thursday, while most teams are working on qualifying runs, Kahne was working on primarily race runs. I talked to Kenny Francis the day of the race, asked him who the car was to beat. I struggled to come up with an answer, and I think we all know why. Right, in the race, Kahne wasn't the most dominant car of the day. That went to Greg Biffle. He led 204 of the 400 laps. But Kahne was there at the end of the day. He was able to continually work on the car. Him and Kenny Francis were able to make the right adjustments, even when the car was good, to get it out front when it mattered most. Now that Kahne has won victory, he has jumped into that wild card race. He moved up to 15th in points, well outside the top 10 for the chase. There is still a lot of time before the chase starts in September, but Kahne has entered that wild card race. But ahead of him, he does have Brad Keselowski and Ryan Newman, each with wins, who are outside the top 10 in points. The big question, I think, for most people was what was wrong with Kahne and the 5 team in the early parts of the season, and was there any kind of confidence loss or transition time that really affected the beginning of their season? And for Kahne, it seemed like he said at the end of the race that it was really just learning the cars at Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, Kahne's won in Fords, he's won in Dodges, he's won in Toyotas, and now he's won in a Chevrolet. He's raced for teams like Gillette Evernham Motorsports. He went to Richard Petty Motorsports, had a little bit of time in Red Bull, and now is at Hendrick Motorsports. And he's been able to win in all this equipment. But when you join an organization as structured and as close-knit and as large as Hendrick Motorsports, it definitely takes some time to adjust. But now Kahne is a winner at Hendrick Motorsports. He scored win number 201 for the organization, and is looking forward to the rest of the season. This is a team that has been running well, extremely well, over the last 7 weeks, and as we get into the summer months, I don't see that stopping. This team will be a factor. I believe they will be in the chase, and they will be in the championship hunt. Now, while Kahne celebrated in victory lane, Greg Biffle was forced to swallow yet another disappointing finish at Charlotte Motor Speedway. For the second time in as many races at Charlotte, Biffle had the car to beat, but did not end up in victory lane. This time, dominated the majority of the race, leading 204 of the 400 laps. Biffle's car was very, very strong all day long. Late in the race, there was a great 3-car battle between Biffle, Kahne, and Denny Hamlin for the lead. Lots of lap cars coming into play, and just as the battle was picking up and it was the best race of the day, the caution for debris came out, brought the field to pit road. Biffle's team opted for 2 tires, while some of the other teams went for 4, and that seemed to really backfire on Biffle. From that moment on, he was never really able to stay up with Kahne. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch, who eventually emerged to be the 3 front runners on Sunday night. And Biffle just struggled real late in the race. Some people saw it as not keeping up with adjustments, losing the handling of the car as the nighttime set in. But over the radio late, in the closing laps, Biffle came over and told his crew, "We've got to stop taking 2 tires, even if it means we get track position." He said it didn't work at Darlington, and it didn't work this week. So even though he didn't get the win, he was still able to maintain his points lead over teammate Matt Kenseth. And that organization is headed to Dover this week, which is one of the best tracks for Roush racing. They will be a factor. Look for Biffle, Matt Kenseth, and Carl Edwards, whose season has stumbled to start and not really gotten off to a good start. Look for all 3 of those guys to be a factor this week. The biggest topic of conversation, though, following Sunday's race was yet another week of basically no cautions. We have 5 total cautions, all for debris, and no multi-car accidents, anything like that. Now the debate rages whether cautions and wrecks make good racing, or if good racing and no cautions equals a good race for the fans. After the race, we tried to talk to drivers about what they thought and why they thought the cautions have been down and not as many wrecks this season. Denny Hamlin seemed to indicate that more drivers are points racing these days. They saw last year where a lot of guys had wrecks earlier in the season and really struggled to get back from that and missed the chase and missed the opportunity to run for the championship. Kyle Busch seemed to indicate that it was just because we have the 43 best drivers on the field, in the world driving in the field, and just the talent level has raised so much that you're not seeing mistakes like you usually do. Even Casey Kane kind of echoed both of those sentiments, but said that drivers are now realizing that you have to finish the race in order to actually be there in contention for the championship and possibly make the chase at the end of the year. Drivers are more aware of all that, and we're seeing a lot more points racing this year. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, I guess that's for the fans to decide. Now, from somebody who watches races both on television and in person in the press box, I can tell you there is a lot of good racing going on this season. It does seem like the television coverage is struggling to find that action on the track, because granted it's not always at the front of the field. So I think it's something that NASCAR needs to look at, whether it's tweaking some of the aero stuff. We saw them do that within the last month with the side skirts. Whether the 2013 car will help with this and create better racing, that is yet to be seen. We haven't seen any of those cars on track in a full test with all 4 makes. So NASCAR is kind of in a spot here now where they use up, if you look anywhere on your advertising or billboards or commercials for racetracks or NASCAR, even All-Star Race is a perfect example. It's majority wrecks, and NASCAR is kind of in a predicament here because they're somewhat promoting the wrecks, but yet when you get to the race, lots of green flag runs, green flag pit stops, a few cautions, and it's something that could turn some fans off. Others maybe not so much, but they need to kind of figure out what they're going to do and which direction that this car and possibly the 2013 car needs to go. Now looking ahead to Dover, Dover is one of the most unique tracks on the schedule. It's a 1-mile concrete oval, very high banks, very demanding racetrack on the drivers. Lots of fast action, and like I said earlier, expect the Roush team to be the organization to beat when they roll into Dover this weekend. Also, people to look out for: Jimmy Johnson. He's been on a roll. He's run very well at Dover. He had some issues with the pit crew. during the Coca-Cola 600, they left the gas can man got hung up, and that ruined their chances at a win on Sunday night. They won the Pick Crew Championship here in Charlotte a couple weeks ago, but it seems like there is some issues that team still needs to work through. But I do expect them to have a fast race car. Kyle Busch is typically pretty good at Dover. However, he has not always had the finishes, as mechanical issues, wrecks, different things like that. So keep an eye on him, but just know that there is some inconsistency when it comes to the finishes. Another team that could possibly make a run at Dover is defending series champion Tony Stewart. Stewart has struggled really bad as of late. This month in Charlotte, that whole organization just seemed to be off. No real answers as to why or what's going on. Tony started the season off really well, 2 wins, but has found inconsistency over the last couple months. And he does have 2 Dover wins, but in the last 3 events he has finished outside the top 20. So Dover could be a track where Tony rebounds and puts Charlotte and the All-Star race in the Coca-Cola 600 behind him and gets back into his winning ways. He has fallen pretty dramatically in the points. He's still in top 10, but not where he was in the early parts of the season. So they could look at Dover as a place to kind of rebound, or they could just kind of fall back into that trap of inconsistent finishes, struggling to find the handling of the car. So it's going to basically do it for our video roundup on Your NASCAR News, brought to you by the Ben & Jerry's here in Gastonia, North Carolina. We'll try and do this video blog once a week, every week, and try and do it with a little bit more consistency after that. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for reading. If you guys have any comments or questions, or just want to tell me what a bad job I'm doing, just send me an email, send me a comment. Follow me on Twitter at JWPennell. Love to hear from you guys. Have a great day.